Welcome back. I hope you're having a fantastic day. So today, oh, wait a minute. Look who has made it. It's the Mad Queen herself. Alright, so today we're going to talk about diversity, okay? It's a tough topic, it's a big topic, it's a crazy topic, and the Mad Queen is all here for the drama, okay? You stay tuned. So essentially, I want to talk to you about a problem with popular conceptions of diversity. And I want to have an honest conversation with you, okay? And I noticed a problem with a lot of people when they talk about diversity. And it mostly has to do with different cultures. This has nothing to do with depicting universal things, like for instance, queer relationships. Anyone can write those. Anyone, if they want to, should write it, right? This video is not about that. This video about someone who is mostly white, representing another culture and writing stories with other cultures, like Disney writing Chinese culture or, Southeast Asian cultures and so on and so forth. And also a book that we will talk about in this particular video, American Dirt, okay, is basically a white woman writing about Mexican experience, okay? And there is a problem with this, okay? It has to do with a lot of people that really care, but their focus is not, needle. First of all, I know I'm going to receive comments by some conservatives who say diversity and all of this leftist rhetoric is BS. Well, fuck off. You are BS, okay? I actually support diversity. I just want to really give people who care about diversity a deeper perspective and a better way of looking at this particular topic, okay? In other words, they are not really thinking about the problem all the way through. They are thinking about it halfway. So what's that halfway? That halfway statement would be, okay, so I want diversity. This particular author who is white should write a diverse story, and then I'll buy it. This is bad. Don't tell white people to write diverse stories about other people's cultures. You can do it with queer relationships and all of that. And number two, why American Dirt is criticized, which is this famous book by Janine Cummins. And she published this book depicting, Mexican migration, experience, basically trying to depict a lot of Mexican culture as well. She failed miserably, according to Mexicans, okay? And we will talk about this in depth. So please, I want you to stick by because we will be talking about the problem with popular diversity. Number two, we will talk about how to fix it. So in order to actually talk about this with any depth, we need to identify the problems that can happen when you tell someone white to write about other cultures, okay? First of all, you end up creating people that are doing it as a marketing gimmick. Okay, so I want you to think about Mulan, okay? Mulan, the movie came out, it was shit. It was really basically messing up tiny, things that are easy to get right if you have been in China for a few weeks, okay? Basically, they messed up essential research, essential facts about Chinese folklore and mythology and, fantastical creatures, right? Yes. Another example is Jay Kristoff. We talked about this author a lot in this channel when I reviewed his book, The Storm Dancer. It was really one of the worst books I've read this entire year. And it still is that way, okay? One of the worst books I've read this entire year. The only book that is saving it from being the worst is literally The Fifth Sorceress. And if The Fifth Sorceress is the only book saving you from being the worst, you might as well be the worst, okay? Moving on to the next point, if it does not lead to someone using diversity as a marketing gimmick, basically, you turned a conversation about human decency into capitalism, congratulations, you can end up forcing someone who, who is well-intentioned to write this stuff, but because they're not native, they just end up writing subpar diversity, okay? American Dirt, let's talk about this book. As I said, this book is written by Janine Cummins. It was in Oprah. It's, by the way, a well-reviewed book. Now, it's not a well-reviewed book by Mexicans. It's a well-reviewed book by people who are like me, okay? Who don't know anything about Mexican culture, okay? I have really not much conception of Mexican culture because I have never met someone who is Mexican in the real world. I've met 5 to 10 white people. So it's really not, I'm not someone who's familiar with America, North America, to be more specific, right? Yeah. So generally speaking, it's not a well-reviewed book by Mexicans. And so this is what you end up having. I'll show you reviews by actual Mexicans. So David from Goodreads reviewed this book, and what he mentioned problem number one. He said, the author. Let me start with the obvious, okay? Cummins has never lived even within 500 miles of Mexico or the border. Okay. In fact, until very recently, she didn't lay claim to the Latin heritage that comes to her through a Puerto Rican grandmother. Just 5 years ago, she was calling herself white. Latina or no, Cummins certainly is not Mexican or Chicana. I think that is read as Chichana or Chicana. I have no idea. You'll have to ask someone who is Mexican, like David. Anyhow, that's a problem. So that's his first, major contention, right? He continues by saying, people like stereotypes in this novel, participating in stereotypical activities, okay? They live in a flattened version of Mexico, a dark hellhole of the sort of Trump rails against, geographically and culturally indistinct. This is important. Geographically and culturally indistinct. For you to have geographically and culturally distinct understanding of a particular country, you either have to have lived there as someone who is white, or you must do intense research that takes you several months, or number three, you are hiring, actual people from that particular culture or country that you are trying to depict. And finally, you either are native. Okay. This is not, a simple matter. Okay. And so what I'm trying to get to is by telling white people to write about other people's cultures, you just end up with shit art. You end up getting subpar, shitty art. Do you want shitty books or shitty movies like Mulan, who don't really have any depth? If you want that, congratulations. Keep telling white people to write diverse stories. But if you want proper depth, proper art, I really care about proper art that is well done, okay? When I read A Song of Ice and Fire, that's Europe represented well, specifically medieval Europe. That's proper art. That's what I want. And that's what I want for you. And I want you to really, think about this deeply. We will get to the solution, okay? We will get to the solution. Right now, we're detailing the problem. David continues, despite having money, geographically and culturally indistinct, Lydia and Luca, despite having money, escaped to the precious freedom of the United States aboard La Bestia, that dangerous crime-infested train, because of course they do. You see, the story, Luca and Lydia, they are middle-class, family. And so they are kicked out of the middle-class comforts into this particular journey. But what he's pointing out here is that it doesn't make sense, because you got money, you use a fucking plane, or you get a damn passport, or you go to somewhere else. People who do this don't have any income. So someone who is middle-class would not be suffering through this. David wants you to understand that. Moving on, David continues, but they don't suffer the maiming, abuse, theft, and rape so common on that gang-controlled artery to the border. It's all very Hollywood, very best-selling thriller. So if you don't have white people that are using diversity as a marketing gimmick, what you have, and what you get for your money is basically shit, lack of, how do you put this? Like shitty material that lacks any depth, that doesn't really make sense. David actually goes on to say, let me be clear, because American Dirt contains multiple inaccuracies and distortions. The white United States readership in particular will come away with a stylized understanding of the issue from a melodramatic bit of literary popular fiction that frankly appears to have been drafted with the tastes in mind rather than the authentic voices of Mexicans and Chicanos. This is what you get. This is honestly what you end up getting. You just get shit art that is not respected by anyone who has a deep understanding of the topic. Anyhow, continuing, and there is the rub. White folks and other Mexican Americans, that includes me. So he goes on, and there's the rub. White folks and other non-Mexican Americans in the United States, you cannot judge for yourselves whether American Dirt is authentic. You are going to have to trust Mexicans and Chicans folks, I'm not particularly certain how you say that name. I know that runs, counter to the upbringing of so many. I know it defies our national discourse. That's too bad. At a time when Mexico and the Mexican American community are reviled in this country as they haven't been in decades, to elevate this inauthentic book written by someone outside our community is to slap our collective face. Okay, here is the solution. The solution I'll be suggesting to these two problems, which is you tell white people who really can't be bothered to write diversity about other people, what you end up with is basically people who are using diversity as a marketing gimmick. And if you don't really have that, what you have is, just shit, lack of depth, yeah? The solution is this. David basically dissects the problem and he gives you the solution. And the solution is books I suggest reading instead of or in conversation with American Dirt, Reina Grande, Dream Called Home, and Distance Between Us. Then he points out many, many, many other books. This is the solution to this problem. And this is what I want to tell you if you are someone who really cares about diversity. So as you can see, David points out the solution here. And the solution here is instead of telling white people to write diverse stories about other people's cultures, what I want you to do is actually buy books that are written by diverse authors. Why? Because you see, you need to show, first of all, you want diversity, because as we have established in the beginning of this particular video, I'm talking to people who care about diversity, okay? So you care about diversity, right? You want more diversity, you want better diversity, you want better art, as you deserve for your money. You want better product for your money, you deserve better product for your money. You don't want garbage. Precisely, I agree with you. So what needs to happen and what must happen is for you to economically prove that investment in people who have own voice, it's called own voice, right? People who have diverse voices, people who are diverse themselves, well, you need to buy books by those people depicting those particular cultures or experiences so that you can economically invest in them. You buy the book, the publishers know there is need for own voices, books by diverse authors. By telling them to write diverse stories and then buying the books written by those white people, you just end up, first of all, getting shitty art. Number two, you might have, these people use it as marketing gimmick and then they eventually just end up writing shitty art. So you can solve this problem, and then number three, you don't economically support people who actually do good work. Imagine if there is someone in the road who's singing, and then there's another person next to that particular person. Let's say the first person is singing amazing, okay? Then the second person is singing subpar, and there's a lot of people around that person giving them money. So the person that is singing terribly is getting money, while the person who is singing well is not getting money. Tell publishers we want own voices. Number one, we want own voices. Number two, you need to actually buy own voice books. That's it. The problem is people like American Dirt thrive because they are written by people. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how books like that thrive, but they do thrive. In America, in the Western world, books like this, like American Dirt, they thrive. These books do well. There is an economic motive and a lot of cunts are willing to take advantage. And they do subpar job. We know this. Number two, you can solve both problems by not buying their books, but then buying the books of those who do well. It's capitalism, baby. You can do it. And you need to express yourself through your wallet. And hey, look. I believe that you deserve good art because you're paying for it. It's your money. What are you going to do? Give it to some guy who's just juggling dirt? No, you want the person who's juggling gold. Precisely. So you need to invest your money into the art that you want to see more of. Okay? And so a lot of people who advocate for diversity and who care about diversity that are well-intentioned, thank you, I appreciate you, a lot of the times just don't end up thinking more critically about this particular topic, about this particular material. And so they just end up not advocating for proper diversity. right? What you just have is white people now writing subpar, shitty stories about other cultures, and those people from those particular cultures are seething and they are pissed off because they know you haven't done any research, you don't know shit. This is really wrong. Why would you do it this way? As we have seen with David's review of American Dirt. By the way, I read a lot more reviews of American Dirt, and there were so many people, and you can go right now and you will see thousands of other different reviewers pointing this out. So it's not just an isolated situation is what I'm trying to point to. So I hope that you enjoyed this particular video. I hope that you enjoyed this particular discussion. Have a nice day. Bye. And don't forget, you spend money, you deserve better fucking product because you are a king or because you are a queen. All right. So you deserve better product for your money. And anyone who's throwing shit your way needs to fuck off. And you can make them fuck off by expressing your wallet where it matters, because that's how capitalism works. Buy books by diverse authors. I'll leave links below. Have a nice day.